Whoa. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Ken Dryden, and I think one of the things that captured my imagination the most was that mask of his. I even saved up my allowance, went to the Canadian Tire, and bought myself one of those Cooper face plates. Those of you who are my vintage will know exactly what I mean. And boy, was that a bad decision. I'll tell you why, and I'm going to take you through all the masks that I've used during my hockey career and tell you which one is hands down the absolute best. Hey, Maria here from GoalieTrainingPro.com and Goalie Training Pro TV. I'm an exercise physiologist, I specialize in off-ice training for hockey goalies, but I am also a recreational hockey goalie myself. And actually, I was a very good road hockey goalie, which I'll sort of finish my little intro story. So I bought this Cooper face plate from Canadian Tire and to wear for road hockey. And so it was just plastic. You guys, yeah, if you're my age, you know exactly what I mean. But for the kids, it was just a plate. And so you'd peel and stick these little pieces of foam that were honestly like that thin. You would stick it like in your forehead and your chin and your nose, and then you would put it on, and that thing would get so cold in the winter that it would just be freezing your face, and then you'd be breathing in it, and the condensation would get it, so it would be all wet and gross. And then when the puck actually did like hit you in the face, all it would do would just like slap your whole entire face with the puck. So it really wasn't that protective. But boy, did I loved it. I felt so cool. I felt like Dryden out there. I even did attempt to sort of color it with his, but then I realized, okay, even at like 9 years old, it's like, no, Maria, you are not an artist. But let's dive into the masks. All the masks I've loved before. Now, when I started, I don't have the very first mask I ever used, and it was the cheapest of the cheap. It was one of those ones. And it's meant to be a cheap mask. And so obviously it's not going to give you the best protection. Like the cage got bent at Stick and Puck, and it didn't fit well. It like kind of rattled around, but it also gave me a headache. So that was no good. But then I was talking to Dennis from GoalieParts.com, and Dennis hooked me up with this mask, which is an Otny mask. And it fit pretty well. It didn't quite fit the shape of my head perfectly, so I actually made a little Franken mask, and I took the back plate off that crappy Bauer mask, like, not that it just was a cheap mask, and put it on here, and this actually felt really, really good on my face. It fit the shape of my head really nicely. I got a little wrap put on it, and so that was cool. And even with, like, some people be like, how do you see through that crazy cage? It actually, like, I had no problem seeing through the cage. I actually really liked it. 2 issues with it. Number 1, it was pretty hot. So, like, inside, it's just kind of, I don't know what you call it, closed cell foam, and it would get quite hot. And as we've talked about before, when I get too warm, it like distracts me and frustrates me. The other issue is it is quite heavy, but I don't think I ever felt a puck or anything when I'd get hit in the head with this mask on. I don't think I ever felt anything, but it was a little bit heavy. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get me a light mask. So I saved up my allowance again. There's a theme here. And I bought this one, which is the Enemy what? Enemy VTX. So it's an expensive mask, but I did get it because it felt good on my head and because it was quite light. I liked it. I liked the way it fit. I didn't find it quite as hot, obviously not as heavy as the Otny, but it's also kind of that closed cell foam. I like the cage, even though it's not certified cage. So that made me a little bit nervous. But the thing about this mask is when I would get hit in the head, that's another wrap, by the way. When I would get hit in the head, I would feel it. So it would kind of hurt a little bit. It would kind of be like, ouch, like that hurt. And then I would sometimes have a headache or feel a little woozy after, like, for a few hours afterwards. And I've never had, like, other than when you're a kid and you fall on your head on the ice, like, I've never had concussions or things like that. So I kind of thought, maybe that's not the best. So I saved up some more allowance. You know what? I think for this one, I actually took all my old gear and took it in. There's a sports store here called Herms that does secondhand stuff. So you can take in your old gear and trade it in. And the guy takes it and he looks at it and gives it a sniff. He doesn't smell it, but, and then he's like, it's like the Antiques Roadshow or whatever, like, or that like thing where they go junk collectors or whatever, and he's like, I'll give you, $250. Do you like, I'll take it. So anyway, I did that. I took all this stuff in, and I got this mask. And this is what I like to call the one mask to rule them all. It is the CCM Axis XF. Sometimes I like to call it the Axis AF, just to be cheeky. But this is one of those masks that has kind of the, like the spider web in it. This is not one of the ones that is custom molded to my head. When I bought this mask, I probably got this mask, might be 2 years ago now. That wasn't an option. It was really quite brand new, but I love it, and it feels just great when I wear it. It moves with me nice. I'll try not to make too much noise with my dangler. It stays with my head. It is definitely not the lightest mask. Like the Bauer was definitely lighter, but it doesn't feel quite as heavy to me as the Otny, and maybe it's just because I'm used to it. I thought at first when I got the cage on there, it's the flat bar cage, but I kind of thought like, I'll probably replace that with like a cat eye or something. But you know what? I love it, and I never notice it. It doesn't give me any problem. The thing I love about this mask, two things I love. Can you guess what one of them is? It's not very hot. So my head doesn't get feeling hot when I wear it. So this spider web mesh really does what it's, well, I think part of its job is supposed to be to keep it cool. The other part of its job is to dissipate force, which it does remarkably well. Because I've taken some good old dingers, right? I play Sunday morning hockey. You just never know where the puck's going to go. And I've taken a few good dingers and, like smelt burning rubber, but I don't feel anything other than it making a loud noise, which I don't feel anything afterwards. So this has been a fantastic mask for me. And I actually am thinking, I usually get a wrap, but I'm thinking almost of getting this one painted. I like it so much that I feel like we'll be together forever. I love you. Now, I want to hear about your mask and what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Oh, you know what? I just thought of another thing I really like about this mask. I love how the harness attaches. So see, it's screwed in, which probably would make it a little harder to change if a strap broke, but I don't know, I've never broken a strap. Whereas on the other masks, so sometimes the puck hits you here and it pops that off, and then you got to stop and fiddle around with it. So that's another thing I really, really like about it. Okay, as I was saying, I want you to drop a comment below. Tell me about your mask, what it is, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And then I also want to mention that just because I like the CCM mask doesn't mean you're going to like the CCM mask. Some of you probably have that Bauer NME mask that I have, and you love it, and you don't feel anything through it, and you're thinking, what is she even talking about? Masks are kind of like shoes. Running shoes are built on a specific last, which is kind of okay, we're making these shoes for this general foot shape. And so masks are the same. It's like, okay, we're making this mask to fit, we all have different shaped melons. It's like, we're making this one to fit this shaped melon. Well, if that's not, probably the one mask that like I had pressure points and gave me a headache, no matter how I adjusted it, it's just not going to fit the shape of my head. This one fits the shape of my head, not necessarily your head. So my best advice to you, and this is what I did when I bought this one, because I actually really wanted the warrior mask too. But so I asked at the store, I said, can I take this home and wear it around the house for like a day or two and just see, because I am really sensitive. Even if I'm just wearing a baseball hat that's a little bit too tight, I'll get a headache. So I thought, I just want to see how it's going to feel when I have it on for like an hour and a half at a time. And it gave me a headache. So that's my best advice. But ask ahead of time, just in case your store has a policy that's like, nope, once you've taken a mask, you can't bring it back. But just say, hey, can I do that to make sure that it fits your head the right way? And then obviously you want to check. I mean, if you're getting one of the big brands, it's going to have the certifications and everything it needs, but definitely worth checking. So we've been through the mask, the mask for fashion with the faceplate. that really gave no coverage, but I felt like Ken Dryden, so that has value, to the crappy mask, to the really good protection, but maybe a little too heavy and hot for me, to the super light mask that would make me dizzy sometimes, I'm like the Goldilocks of masks. This one is just right. So now your turn to tell me about your favorite mask and what NHL goalie of all your life is your favorite NHL goalie mask. Obviously for me it's Ken, but I also loved Felix Potvin's mask when he played for the Leafs. So drop that in the comments below. We'll have a little discussion. And if you found this video helpful in any way or mildly entertaining, hit me with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, hit notifications. That way you find out about videos before anyone else does. If you're looking to get a wider butterfly flare in 14 days or less, that is the butterfly challenge that you want, and the link is in the description. It is free. You're welcome. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. We are going to be talking about the 3 best ways for goalies to get more hip flexibility. So I will see you next week. I love you guys.